All right, so this is going to be the final drive of the night. Um, this time the lapel mic is actually hanging off of the sorry seatbelt, so mic's pointed towards my mouth. Um, but hopefully you don't hear the rattling or you don't hear any rubbing or anything that might come from it having on my shirt and having the microphone kind of interact with my shirt or something. So again, feel free to comment on audio quality if you guys like the videos or are interested in watching the videos, but uh, don't like the audio and that's enough to kind of turn you off from the videos. Let me know, because I actually do enjoy trying to make these videos. Um, and so if that's really that distracting and that bad, uh, please comment. And like I said, I'll see if I can get to and actually, if you guys have comments for what's a good mic, because I really don't do this kind of stuff, so maybe like what would be a good mic for this particular situation that I can connect to my iPhone. That's kind of the important part here. So I'm sure I'm getting. I don't care if you're honking. Getting honked at the. Somebody wanted me to go because they wanted to make the red at the red, and admittedly, I really should have been able to do that. But by the same token, uh, I don't think FSD could figure out like who had the green and who didn't have the green. So I think it was doing the right thing. I actually get annoyed when people honk like that, and my rationale. I mean, I know some people are like, get out of the way, you're a shitty driver, whatever. I mean, here's the thing: having kids and having to teach kids how to drive cars, etc. Like, you don't know what's going on in that person's car. You don't know how their car drives. You don't know what that person's limitations are, aka if you've already heard me talking about my parents and them being older and maybe having some visibility issues. So if they've got to hang out at a red light because that's the safe way for them to drive, I'm sorry. I really don't give two whatevers about the fact that you don't like being stuck at a red light. The person in front of you has the right of way, and the person in front of you, um, they've got to do what's safe for them, right? So you may hate it, that might be annoying to you, but they're not necessarily doing anything wrong. If you want to give it a love tap to kind of let somebody know, like, hey, you can go, I don't necessarily blame somebody for doing that either. But if you're going to do it multiple times or lay in, that's none of your business. You don't know why that person is staying and doing what they're doing. They might actually have a really good reason for why they're going to hang out at that stop until they know it's safe for them to go. So just kind of realize that, like, it's not your world, right? Like, we all live in this world together and everybody's at a different place in their lives. You can hate me saying that, that's fine. But I guess with my age, I've started to kind of realize that, and actually, I'll tell you where this comes from while we're sitting here driving and making the trip. Um, I have actually seen, on more than one occasion, seen an accident caused where somebody was hesitant to make a turn or do whatever they needed to do, and because they were getting pressure or direction from another person, right, honking their horn, yelling, whatever, they thought, oh, it must be safe for me to go, like, and they ended up pulling out and getting hit or causing an accident. So it's like, and who's liable in that situation, right? The guy who honked the horn and was, bitching and moaning. This is a really odd turn, by the way. It didn't handle that very well at all. It was very jerky, start and stop. We're slowing down again for no apparent reason. I think it picks up on. Oh, hit that puddle. It picks on pedestrians like walking on the sidewalk, and you I've started to notice that as possibly a trend. Like sometimes I wonder, like, uh, why is it slowing down so aggressively and then picking speed back up, etc. And uh, I've started to realize that it may be picking up on these pedestrians, and so even though they're on a sidewalk and not interacting with traffic, um, it'll still slow down for them. So, all right, well, so anyway, back to my soapbox for a minute. I don't. Maybe it's not super common for you guys, but I've seen enough. I've seen enough accidents that have happened where a driver was giving direction to somebody, either trying to wave them through, like they're trying to leave a store or something, and they had to cut across traffic in order to make a left. And people are waving them on, like, oh, you can go, you can go. And then that person makes the turn, even though it's a blind turn for them. They can't see the oncoming traffic. And sure enough, the gap that they did have closed so quickly that when they acted, it caused an accident. And similar things with, somebody who was stuck at a light, and they decided to go, I guess, due to peer pressure, and it ended up getting in an accident. So it's like, don't tell other people how to drive, because, you know, seriously, I mean, they're the ones that are responsible for their vehicle and their lives and other people's lives. And you may not have visibility into the things that they're seeing depending on where you are in the intersection. So just let it be. Learn to have a little patience in life. There, soapbox done. Um, this will be the last drive of the day. I think I said earlier, I'm basically going to do multiple stops. Um, we're just basically trying some more roads. This one it has issues with, like when the lane widens here, it's ended up on the wrong part, just like that. So anyway, you guys get to see I did. I got a car to the right of me, and I could have possibly waited to see whether it would correct itself. I think it would have at some point, but there were other cars that I had to interact with and didn't want to mess with that. So that's the unfortunate part of where we are with FSD. Like, but it's not the end of the world, right? Like, it's not like they're out there saying today, robo-taxi's ready. I know they're saying robo-taxi announcements are coming. I think other people are interpreting that to mean that, like, FSD is going to be perfect in a month or 2 months or something like that. And that's not what's being said at all. All right, so we're going to go here. Sorry, just making a quick change. So letting the car continue to drive. I just wanted to make a quick change there in our direction. This is going to take us through a neighborhood. Um, I actually want to move to this neighborhood. I really, really enjoy it. It's an older neighborhood. Um, Houses are definitely smaller. Bathrooms are smaller than like where we live now. Uh, but at the same token, this neighborhood, like if you live here in St. Peter's, in my in my opinion, this neighborhood just has a very unique charm to it. I have a lot of friends that live here, and it's just the way it's organized, designed. Um, there's a nice running trail that comes right through it. So, like, if you take the running trail to the north, it actually takes you to a gym that I'm a member of that has like a pool, weight room, etc. And then if you take the trail south, it takes you to another gym that I'm a member of. Yes, I'm a member of two different gyms. And and then you have like these green spaces here, like this park on the right hand side. It's got basketball, tennis. There's like a kids playground area just on the other side of this covered bridge. Um, so really just a lot of good stuff to say about this community, even though the houses are smaller and it's an older neighborhood. Just super, super nice kind of just environment for like great family neighborhood as far as I'm concerned. Everything that I know about this is, good schools, good community, good people. So uh, says a lot for the city of St. Peter's to have neighborhoods like this one. So, and I think they do a fairly good job of keeping, uh, like the city takes care of the streets and stuff like that, like as much as it can. So I'm a big fan. So far, so good. Other than the, again, car not knowing how to navigate the lane widening and going through that intersection type scenario, and then ending up in what will eventually become kind of like a center lane for turning left and right. Um, it should be able to hold its lane better than it does, and that's a consistent problem. So, as new versions of FSD come up, we'll be testing that intersection again. Um, this test that I'm doing will have kind of another spin to it. What you doing? All right, sorry, they had their hazards on, so I wasn't exactly certain as to why they put on their hazards. So super long hesitation on making that right hand turn. So is what it is. I mean, it made it cleanly, but if you had a driver behind you, as much as I was sitting here talking about, like, don't don't push the driver in front of you to make decisions if you don't know what's going on in their life. Uh, like that, I get it. That's frustrating and annoying. So I understand both sides of that coin, but I just lean on the fact that I've seen accidents caused by people kind of falling into peer pressure, instead of driving in a manner that is safe for them. And you know, like, worst decision in the world, because the drivers that are pressuring you to do things, they're not liable for any of that. Maybe they are. Hey, if there's an attorney in the audience listening, and you want to chime in on whether or not somebody could actually be liable for acting in that manner and somebody responding to it, I'm kind of curious to know. Anyway, this drive, you've probably seen other videos of it. Will it sometimes has some very weird interactivity to it, so I'm going to use this road quite a bit, um, for testing purposes. And again, I'm trying to also test it at different times of the day, uh, just because I'm not sure if it's shadows, if it's sunlight, if it's the cracks in the road that are filled with tar, and maybe it's picking that up as a lane marking, but just it'll do these weird, sometimes very aggressive and sharp, herky jerky moves. And I'm not sure if it comes up like on video. When you guys look at it, it might just look like a subtle hesitation, but when you're sitting in the car, like, it feels sudden and abrupt. So I almost want to get like a little G-force indicator or something on here, so you can actually see like how abrupt it feels relative to like a normal turn. Um, like, everything we felt here feels fine. Like, that feels normal. It's usually right up here, right around the fire station, where you get the jankiness. Oftentimes coming the other way, so I'm going the wrong way, but actually, again, fine. And I've actually had the experience when driving this direction too, um, so that's why I continue to test it both ways. If anybody also knows, Elon, if you randomly just happen to be watching, which I highly doubt, but you never know what people might throw in front of them. Like, I really do want to know whether the car ever uh, kind of learns patterns, like when you do a correction there, not just by like a big software update, but more because of, um, like, if internally the car ever makes the decision to say, oh, okay, that was a negative interaction, I got a correction. We're going to do this differently next time. My assumption is all that major training happens on a mainframe and gets pushed out to the cars. But there are definitely times where it's like you can hit an intersection or you can hit an area where the car has trouble and it goes through and it's just fine. And then, like, randomly a day or two later, you go through it again and you have a horrible experience. Uh, so, anyway, push through the yellow. I actually don't really mind that just because of the timing, it just turned yellow. I actually prefer that over. There are times where it just turns yellow and the car just like slams on the brake, and we actually had a car follow us through on that yellow. So, would not have been ideal for the car to slam on the brake like it will do sometimes. So, back to this test and why I'm choosing the route that I'm choosing at this moment. Um, this again is the test of the navigation and how reliant is the car on navigation, and what's the experience like if you're in a robotaxi that's driving itself and the navigation is incorrect. This the destination that I put in here is a bank and or credit union, I should say. And I forget how I noticed it, what I was doing, um, but I did. Um, oh yeah, I remember. I was taking a family member there. So anyway, we were going there, um, and I just noticed that the car just completely blew past the bank or the credit union, excuse me. So yeah, so we're gonna test it again, just to see, like, okay, I'm a passenger, I'm in my robo taxi. Over here on the left hand side, after this intersection, is the credit union I put in and said I wanted to go to. And so, as I'm sitting here as a passenger, at this light, where you can see I have a blinking yellow to make a left hand turn, I'm just driving right by. So, we're going to see what that passenger has to experience as part of the drive via robotaxi. And let's also talk about, as a passenger, I don't know if I'm getting, what do you get charged by the mile? I don't know. I don't know what the fees will look like, right? In terms of like how that'll work. It took that kind of wide, but not horribly wide. It's gonna try and make a U-turn here. Let's see how it goes. If there was a car coming behind us, though, it would not be good with that. That is a really slow U-turn. Okay. And for me, if I'm going back to that credit union, I'm going to be in this right left-hand turn lane because I'm pretty quickly going to have to make, like, we're going to, okay. For a moment there, it was acting like it was going to speed up and try and go around this Cadillac. And I'm like, so what, you're going to speed around it and then cut it off? But it did go behind it. But yeah, so that's the experience. So, you know, did it get you there? Yes, it will get you there. Um, I went to drop off recycling and now I have a fly in my car. That's wonderful. So, oh, what are you doing? So we're gonna go to the ATM. I'm gonna hit end trip and take us off of that. So anyway, that will get you there. But again, robotaxi experience. I think navigation data is going to play a factor. I have today made at least 3 or 4 trips, which two, obviously they were both intentional, but 2 of those trips resulted in what I would say is an undesirable experience, and that's based off of navigation data. So that's not the fault of FSD from the perspective of like, is the software doing a good job of getting you uh, from point A to point B? But I think there's also people that would argue, yes, that is the fault of the software. Why didn't I just make a left-hand turn here? Or what would have happened to the person if you watch my other video when it encountered that roundabout and there was nobody sitting in the driver's seat ready to uh, ready to act? So um, again, this is still a work in progress, right? Nobody's saying that this software is perfect at this point in time. Anybody who says that, as far as I know, nobody's officially saying that. Let's put it that way. And if there are Tesla fans um, that are thinking otherwise, then honestly, uh, I would just say that they're kind of silly. I mean, like, take it for what it is. I'm sure there are tons of people right now who probably think I'm crazy for letting the car drive as I have, with my hands off the steering wheel as much as I have. Um, so we're going to finish off this drive with the drive home. If you watched my series of videos that I have posted today, you'll see we started off by going through the town of Cottleville, and that was the first drive that I've taken through Cottleville on 12.4.3 that did really well. So now we're going to test it going from the other direction on the way home, and let's see if it does just as well the second time through. And again, this goes back to what I was just saying a moment ago. Um, like, it has not done a good job on 12.4.3 going through Cottleville at all, and I would think that that wouldn't have gotten fixed until we got a new update, 12.5 or whatever the next update that I'll get, whatever that is. That's when I would think maybe that could be fixed. But then sometimes the car just handles the same exact road that you've tested over and over again differently and the right way. And so that's where I question, like, is anything actually, like, is it learning independent of these major software updates? And I honestly don't know the answer to that. And I'm very, very curious to know how much learning could be happening on board or in real time. So, so the way this drive is going to go, we're effectively going to be all suburban streets at this point. There's um, Frankie Martin's is a real popular kind of outside bar that has like pickleball and live music, and they'll people love going there to watch baseball games and any other sports, college football, you name it, um, that they play over a big screen. And so we'll have to potentially interact with pedestrians, golf carts, all types of other people that are trying to make their way over towards the Frankie Martin's location, or any of the other restaurants that happen to be off of the main drive through downtown Cottleville. I should call it historic Cottleville. Um, Technically, when you're driving down Mid Rivers Mall, you're driving through Cottleville, but we're going to drive by the town hall and police station and everything else as part of this process. So, if there are, not just like locally, but if there are scenarios that you all are curious, like, hey, how does it handle in this particular scenario? let me know, because I might be able to, using my local roads and everything, create an environment, or a test loop or something where we can test it out together and see, you know, try different things and see how it works out, as they say. Um, and hopefully at some point, uh, if these videos are useful, I know you can hit the little button to, like when you have to disengage, to send a note or whatever. We have the green, so you can go. And we're turning completely into the left-hand turn lane. I know there are lots of people who would probably do something like that just as like part of their normal driving habits, but uh, as far as I'm concerned, there's no reason for, like, to feel safe in a robotaxi. You should never be turning into the lane. Like if it just kind of skimmed the edge of the lane, that's one thing. But it's another when you're like legitimately half of the car is going through a lane, like the wrong lane. So far so good. We are speeding, but um, this is like, you hate to say it this way, it's almost like that acceptable speeding, right? Um, as a rider, most people like most people don't drive the exact speed limit. As a robo-taxi, you don't necessarily want to be getting a ticket. Like if I put my car into a fleet, I don't necessarily want it to get a ticket because it's not obeying the speed, right? But as just an individual driver, this would not be unusual. Up here, as I've talked about on prior videos, here I do want it to follow the speed limit. We're supposed to be 25. We are not 25. We're doing 10 over. 25 again. We're still not. Slow it down. Okay. Now it seems to recognize that it does have to interact with uh, potentially. I don't. I'm not sure what's triggering it, but now it did. Now we're down to 20. It's seeing 20. Slow it down. There you go. So this is where you have like the golf carts. It has to treat them like a car, so they have to wait. Not a lot of pedestrian traffic, so we're fine. Um, it's no longer like, if you watch the prior video, and I'd done multiple drives before shooting that video. That's interesting. It did avoid getting into an accident with that car, but like, it's no longer freaking out at the crosswalks. Like if a pedestrian isn't in the crosswalk or near the crosswalks, it's not like wanting to slam on its brakes. It's driving through it. And like I've said before, and I was just saying a minute ago, that's new behavior. Like I haven't gotten a new update, but that behavior, it's not done that. That's the second time it's gone through, and I would say that drive was actually acceptable. Like both times I've come through today, it actually did it right. So how does it learn? I don't know if it's learning from like the corrections I give it or what, but it seems to adjust, and that's a cool part of FSD. I'd love for somebody to explain it to me that like actually knows for sure technically what causes it to kind of learn on the fly like that. But then we'll see if it ever regresses again. So that'll be one of those things. Um, at this point, I expect everything to go very smoothly for anybody else who's watching. Uh, there's our semi-aggressive acceleration. We're only going up to 26. We're allowed to go to 35. Now it's making the slight adjustment. If you hang in for a minute or two, we'll hit the intersection, a four-way stop in my neighborhood near my house that just consistently causes this car to freak out. Anybody who's watching the videos enough knows that the car handles stop signs pretty well, like 85-90% of the time. So I'm very curious to understand why this particular intersection right next to my house is just very odd for it. It's super hesitant. Doesn't really know. I don't know if it's because it's on a hill. I mean, maybe that's what it is. Is like if you kind of look at it, it is a little bit of a hilly road, and so maybe like it's just the right angles where the car isn't sure if somebody else might be coming up. I have no idea. I'm just making crap up at this point because I really have no idea why we do a double, triple stop sometimes here. So here we go. That was a pleasant stop. We didn't brake super hard. And we made the turn without stopping again. Um, so yeah, I will check the box on that one and say, did a good job. And indicating wants to go over. Now here's where it'll be funny again. I always get a chuckle for myself personally. Are we going to try and turn into the neighbor's driveway? And we are not. And will it try and turn into my driveway? It will not. So it will actually do that if my son's car isn't parked in the driveway. It'll actually pull me in. So that is a cool little feature. All right, y'all. Well, thanks for going for a ride, and please leave comments, feedback, anything that you guys would like me to handle or do differently.